The sun rises over Hiroshima. A small tailor shop sits at the roadside, its windows dusty, its sewing machines humming in the quiet. In 1984, a young man steps across that threshold. He has no fame, no fortune yet, but he has a vision. He wants that small shop to become something huge. By nightfall, a single Uniqlo store opens its doors. Uniform shirts, simple jackets, basic jeans, nothing glamorous. But people notice something odd. The price tags are low, the quality decent, the design clean and direct. What's going on here? Who is this guy who thinks clothing can be revolutionized? That young man is Tadashi Yanai, and this store kicks off what will become fast retailing, one of the world's biggest clothing empires. But the true story isn't in that first shop. The true drama unfolds later: failures, global ambitions, clashes with tradition, and a fight to bring Japanese retail to the top of the world. And what will Yanai risk? His reputation, his fortune to make it real? We're going to find out. Tadashi Yanai was born in February 1949 in Ube, Yamaguchi, at a time when Japan was rising from the ruins of war. His father had a roadside tailor shop stitching clothes one piece at a time. His mother, a housewife. Not much money, but a craft. An attention to detail. An insistence on this is good enough being not quite good enough. He attended Uba High School, then moved on to Waseda University, graduating in 1971 with a degree in economics and political science. Back then, Japan was booming. Textile factories, retail shops, department stores were everywhere, but also very competitive. Traditional brands held sway. Quality was respected, low cost was suspect. Fashion was more about status than simplicity. Yanai returned to his family business. He observed clothes, materials, fits. He thought, what if clothing could be functional, affordable, clean, minimalist, and sold not just in high-end department stores, but in large volumes to everyone? What if the appeal of good everyday clothing could compete with the prestige of branded labels? He tried a few experiments. Mistakes followed. There were designs no one bought, locations that failed, inventory piled up. Yet in each failure, he learned something: fabric sourcing, supply chains, consumer behavior, pricing psychology. These early years laid the foundation, but there was still one more move that would change everything. Later, Yanai will make a decision that shifts fast retailing from country player to global force, but first the struggle to refine the model. In 1984, Yanai opened his first Uniqlo store in Hiroshima. The name Uniqlo came later, short for unique clothing. The idea: basics, t-shirts, sweaters, jeans, solid colors, clean lines, no frills, but with decent fabrics, consistent sizing, a store where you knew exactly what you were getting. At first, growth was slow. Yanai experimented with sourcing fabrics overseas, improved manufacturing, cut costs wherever possible. He avoided over-designing, he avoided chasing trends. He focused on what works, what sells, what customers want again and again. In 1991, he renamed his father's company, Ogori Shoji, to Fast Retailing. That change wasn't just a new label, it signaled a new ambition: fast, scalable, large-volume retailing that could respond swiftly to change. He invested in logistics, in supply chains, in inventory management. He opened more Uniqlo shops across Japan. He tested different formats. As Uniqlo stores multiplied, some succeeded spectacularly, others failed quietly, but he kept pushing. In these years, Yanai gained a particular trait: relentless iteration. He would try, measure feedback, adjust, discard what didn't work. The model sharpened, profits rose, reputation spread, not as a luxury brand, but as a smart one. A brand you trust is good value. Yet this success came with tensions. Traditional Japanese retailers were slow to change. Department stores, longtime brands had legacy costs, expectations, conservative styles. Uniqlo's rise disturbed that equilibrium. Yanai encountered resistance from suppliers who preferred old orders, from landlords demanding high rents, from customers skeptical of simple shirts. Still, none of those stopped him, because he began eyeing not just Japanese domination, but global expansion. Once Uniqlo was strong in Japan, Yanai would make moves abroad that others said were risky. But what happened when he left home would surprise everyone. By the 2000s and 2010s, Uniqlo started expanding overseas. Yanai opened stores in China, Southeast Asia, the US, Europe. Every new country meant cultural differences, what people expected in color, cut, comfort, price sensitivity, store design. Some markets embraced Uniqlo, others were tougher. Consider the US. Consumers already had many clothing options, discount outlets, fast fashion of every kind. Plus, Uniqlo had to learn American consumer behavior, which sizes, what styles, how people shop. In Europe, the fashion heritage was strong, brands with centuries behind them. Then there were climate differences, thicker fabrics for cold regions, lighter air conditioning designs in tropical zones. Meanwhile, supply chains had to scale. Factories in Asia, raw materials imported, shipping, tariffs. Yanai invested heavily in technology, logistics hubs, fabric innovation, heat tech, AIism, etc. Store layouts. The goal, standard yet adaptable, global brand yet locally resonant. But even with that, there were missteps. Some stores failed or underperformed. Some local marketing missed the mark. Competition from local fast fashion, from Zara, from H&M. Yanai sometimes entered markets more slowly or exited unprofitable ones. He adapted. These global moves required big bets, building manufacturing networks, leasing costly real estate, hiring managers who understood local culture, marketing campaigns. But each success abroad boosted revenue, raising fast retailing scale, boosting Yanai's wealth. Among these global moves, one innovation stands out, one that would redefine Uniqlo and turn Yanai into more than just a retailer. What changes clothing for everyone? Not just stores, but materials, design, and how you wear things. Yanai aimed to integrate those innovations. Uniqlo introduced technologies like heat tech, fabric that retains heat, AIism, lightweight, breathable innerwear, seamless knits, anti-odor fabrics. These weren't high fashion statements, they were functional improvements people could feel. He invested in designers, in fabric engineers, in sustainability practices. Also, Yanai pushed for a store concept innovation, large flagship stores, smart layouts, customer experience, seasonal collections, collaborations with designers. Uniqlo also adopted clean minimalist design in store interiors, simplifying the shopping experience. Fast retailing expanded into brands beyond Uniqlo, e.g., diversified offerings. Yanai also paid attention to online commerce. When e-commerce rose, Uniqlo adjusted, setting up online shops, promoting via social media, aligning logistics to deliver. And there's another reinvention. Yanai has increasingly become a voice on Japan's broader economic challenges: stagnant wages, aging population, corporate conservatism. He argues that Japan has to change: slow bureaucracies, rigid business culture, risk aversion. He warns that Japan's greatness is in danger if it does not embrace innovation. His public statements, philanthropy, scholarships, globalizing Japanese humanities show he's thinking not just about clothes and profits, but about Japan's future. But even with all that, his wealth and power are not unchallenged. What forces could threaten the richest man in Japan? As of mid-2025, Tadashi Yanai is the richest person in Japan, with an estimated net worth around US $48.50.3 billion. That wealth gives him immense influence over fashion markets, global retail, over what millions wear, how clothes are made. It gives him clout with real estate holders for store locations, with government regulators when discussing trade, imports, sustainability rules. It gives him means to shape the conversation in Japan about what kind of business culture the country should adopt. Yet with that power comes responsibility and pressure. Critics point to environmental costs of fast fashion generally, water usage, textile waste, labor standards in factories abroad. Yanai has to respond by committing to sustainable materials, improve supply chain transparency, reducing waste. Another pressure is competition. Other retailers, online giants, fast fashion brands, global brands expanding into Asia, Also, macroeconomic headwinds, currency fluctuations, tariffs, inflation, changing consumer habits. Within Japan, there's also cultural resistance. Japanese business tends to value seniority, harmony, slow evolution. Yanai tends to press faster change. There's criticism that Uniqlo's style sometimes clashes with traditional Japanese aesthetic values, or that the simplest clothes may seem too plain or too globalized for some tastes. And of course, there is personal risk. With such huge wealth, public expectations rise. Any scandal, misstep, factory labor issue, environmental harm, or failure to deliver profits can damage reputation. Yanai must balance ambition with caution, profit with purpose. So what comes next? What is the next frontier that Yanai sees, and how will he reinvent himself again to stay at the top? Yanai is no longer just building stores, he's thinking in decades. What will fast retailing look like in 2050? He has publicly spoken about globalizing Japanese humanities, about bridging cultures through design education. He funds scholarships for Japanese students to study abroad. He supports arts and literature studies globally. He is also emphasizing sustainability, better fabrics, lower environmental footprint, longer-lasting clothing. He aims for closed-loop systems, maybe recycling programs, better labor conditions abroad. He's trying to align with global concerns, climate, ethics, consumer rights. In addition, digital transformation looms large. Online shopping, virtual fitting rooms, AI for design, forecasting supply, optimizing logistics. Yanai's company invests in tech to improve customer experience, reduce waste, anticipate trends. Perhaps most importantly, his legacy will be judged not just by stores opened or products sold, but by change. What he changed about how Japan does business, how Japanese brands are seen globally, whether Japanese consumers are more demanding of quality, ethics, innovation, whether business culture becomes more willing to take risks. If Yanai succeeds, he will be more than just the richest man in Japan. He will be one who reshaped what business could be in Japan: fast, worldwide, aware, creative, responsible. Tadashi Yanai's journey, from a tailor's son in post-war Japan to the richest person in the country, is more than a story of fashion and profit. It is a case study in vision, in persistence, in refusing to accept that things must stay as they are. He proved that simplicity can be powerful, that basics done right can change the world. That business, when driven by design and detail, can also carry weight. Cultural weight, ethical weight, global weight also. And yet he has more to do. The challenges ahead of sustainability, of global markets, of transforming Japanese corporate norms are steep. But Yanai has shown us that what seems impossible becomes possible if you keep refashioning your approach, keep innovating, keep daring to be different. When future generations look back, they may see Yanai not just as the richest man in Japan, but as someone who helped push Japan onward, toward a future where creativity, conscience, and commerce meet. That is a legacy worth striving for.